the way I've approached this question has been to get students and educators who are interested in what we should be doing in education to think about, just slow down for a moment and let's think about what are some competing views of the human person and then what are their implications for education. I often do this by teaching an article from a philosopher named Max Shaler, where he outlines different views of the human person and how they have changed over time. And what Max Shaler is arguing, first of all, he's arguing that there is no more important question in the modern world than to recover this basic exploration of who we are as human beings, precisely because the values which claim to hold the modern world together, values like freedom, the belief in democracy, all of those grew out of a particular understanding of who we are as human beings, and potentially those things we value the most could be lost if we lose sight of who we are as human beings. The other reason I think I agree so much with Max Shaler that this question about who we are as human beings is so important is you alluded to the end of Christian education, at least explicitly, being formation. And by formation, I don't just mean kind of formation in the doctrines of Christianity, the creeds of Christianity, although I do think that is important, contra Dewey, who we'll talk about soon. I mean the formation of a complete human being who knows himself or herself, who knows who they are and has a sense of a coherent identity. As I said a moment ago, if the fields of knowledge don't have a tree trunk to hang on to, do all of our experiences and our different aspects of our identity have a core to which they all participate? And is there ultimately an element of coherence to who we are as human beings, or are we nothing but a eternally fluid movement of becomings that has no core central nature? Well, what the philosopher Max Shaler says has happened is that he outlines several different understandings of the human person. Classical Judeo-Christian, what he would call the religious or the mythical view of human persons, is that we're creatures. We're created by God and fallen, in need of redemption. So created for excellence, but in need of salvation and grace in order to achieve the purpose inscribed in our nature. So we have freedom, but that freedom is oriented towards an end that emanates from our nature and is oriented ultimately towards participating in a cosmological reality that's transcendent. Similarly, the Greek philosophers also believed in what made human beings unique was rationality. And when they used the term Homo sapiens to distinguish human beings from others and talked about rationality, I just want to point out that they didn't mean rationality as it's often come to be used as just a giant supercomputer. For the Greeks, rationality was open to the transcendent. We are the kind of beings that operate in the material world and have a symbolic reality that we ponder and we contemplate. So the Greeks absolutely believed in a transcendent reality. Now, in the modern world, what Shaler argues has happened is that we've shifted from Homo sapiens, or from the religious view of man, to what he calls Homo faber. We are primarily creatures of drives to fulfill biological needs, and we make things to satisfy our basic needs and wants. So this idea of Homo faber puts man's productive capacities at the core of who we are. And it implies that our most important ends are the satisfaction of wants and needs, without necessarily denying that human beings have or engage with symbolic things such as narratives or art or beauty. But those symbolic things are not thought of as essential to our nature, but rather just sophisticated tools that we employ to satisfy our real needs, which are biological, or, and then by extension, getting back to what we said a moment ago, right? If one of our biological needs, drives, is for power, then knowledge is not an end in and of itself. It's a tool for power. So rather than in the concept of Homo sapiens or religious man, the things that we come to know in both of those understandings of human beings, knowledge becomes something that we share with other human beings that points us to a larger reality in which we all can participate. In Homo faber, knowledge is not an end in and of itself that points to an eternal reality. It's another tool for power and domination in order to satisfy our basic needs.